From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.
What's up, world? It's the one and only Pop CBB PrimeTime Capper, and it's time for the premier sports betting show. And I'm feeling good. I'm feeling great. I hope you're feeling the same. And this is the Primetime Egg was live. So pretty much here we are a day before Thanksgiving. And I hope everybody is thankful for, making it through the year if you're still here with us and everything like that. And, and just know that next year would be a better year because you're a champion. You're good at what you do. So yeah, we live in life like that. So pretty much up first we got the Zags last night crushing UCLA in a battle between the best teams in the nation. I'm gonna say this right now. Gonzaga is really, really tough at this point of the season. They literally took that game over about 2 minutes in. You know what I mean? And it was really, really kind of sad to see, UCLA kind of go out the way that they did. But the problem is that UCLA was down 20 points in the first half. They wound up being tied in the second half. So they played much better in the second half than they did in the first half. But all in all, it was too much. And I said that with Jeff yesterday on the show that if somebody got to blowing somebody out, it wouldn't be UCLA, it would be Gonzaga, and that's exactly what happened. But once again, people cannot judge that performance to say that this is the best team in the nation already, but they are a great sample size of what to expect for the rest of the year. But right now, they could be called the most dominant team in the nation, and they're going to put themselves through a gauntlet of elites as well too. I'm not talking about, and I'm talking about elite universities. Hey, UCLA still the leader in the clubhouse when it comes to national championships in college basketball. Then you have the Coach K farewell tour coming up Friday in a game against Duke, and there's more to come as well too. This team is very, very, they're testing themselves now, but they're at the point now to where they can do that. Chet Holmgren, the number one player in the nation, decided to go to Gonzaga. And I know he went to Gonzaga because he knows that Gonzaga, he won't be forced to run to the NBA at all. When you go to Gonzaga for at least a year or two. I know that Jalen Suggs left early, but he always had plans of leaving school early. But Chet Holmgren's a little different. He's a guy that got to kind of gain some weight a little bit before he thinks about going to the NBA. But I never saw Wilt Chamberlain play, but I think that this kid was a very close version of what you would expect a Wilt Chamberlain to be in today's game. He was just absolutely dominant. He was running up and down the floor like a guard. He was his length is something incredible as well too. He was altering shots, and getting big rebounds. But the thing is, though, the guy had handles. He could shoot from three. There's a lot of things that he did so well last night. And I know that the hype that this kid might get as much hype as Christian Laettner did in college, to be honest with you. And I think that it could work out for NBA teams if they tell this kid to kind of stick around college for a little bit, become a good household name, good household superstar. And then when you bring this guy to the NBA, you bring in a 10% increase of eyes on the league. And see, the NBA is not doing that enough, in my opinion. The NBA made their big money. The money that the NBA gets to the privilege to really count today is all on the back of Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, and Michael Jordan. But literally, Larry and Magic were the ones that pretty much made the NBA interesting. So I think that the NBA, to get back viewership, because it's not doing well right now. They're not going to tell you that though. You know what I mean? They want you to just keep watching the game. But you bring a kid like this into the fold and say 2 or 3 years instead of one and done, you get a guy that brings some hype into it. You bring in a lot of eyes, you bring in a lot more credentials and things of that nature. And it's the hype. You know what I mean? Everybody loves the hype ish. You know what I mean? And I think that this would work out much better for Holmgren moving forward if he sticks around, because they got guys here that are really good, and Gonzaga can really make something of this. You know what I mean? Mark Few has now stepped into the room to where now you get those top quality players. You just don't get the guys who try really hard from the state of Washington and on the West Coast. You're really going and getting players that are elite players now. So the best way to keep those elite players is going, you need to win national championships. So if you miss the national championship this year, you try to get that kid to stay back a year. The NBA is too crowded right now. And I'm going to be dead honest with you. I know everybody loves to chase money and everything like that, but I saw a great movie the other day called King Richard, and I suggest everybody watch that movie. And I'm not going to spoil it for you, but there's a scene in the movie where people are about to make their big move and somebody comes with an amount of money that you shouldn't pass up. I'll let you go ahead and watch the movie to find out what happened. All right, so we move forward. Let's talk about the Maui Invitational. Yesterday, Houston was slightly upset by Wisconsin, but people have to understand, though, when it comes to a Big Ten team like Wisconsin and a team in the AAC like Houston, that's not an upset. What happens is that the team from the better conference won. It's just that simple. And Wisconsin is a team that's not ranked this year, but they're still a team that they're going to have in the tournament discussions. They'll probably make the tournament because they have street cred. It's that simple. Yeah, just because they're not ranked, that means absolutely nothing. But they absolutely had their way with Houston. Even though Houston did come back, Wisconsin showed that, hey, they're gritty, grimy, and ready to compete in the Big Ten. Last year, Ohio State wasn't ranked, and they wound up being the best team one of the best teams in the Big Ten, and wound up actually being the 2 seed. Even though they got put out, they still worked their way into that situation and played in a championship game as well, too. So, at the end of the day, that's what you're looking at. But that was a really good game. Oregon lost to St. Mary's last night. I know a lot of people probably going to go crazy about St. Mary's now because they're in the same conference as Gonzaga. And then, Chaminade, the pushover, Chaminade's there to, get everybody some good work in as well, too. So, hey, you got a good game tonight as well. You got Texas A&M and Notre Dame, who did win the championship a few years back. And I like Texas A&M actually in this tournament. I think that this team could be the wild card. They've been playing some really good basketball to start the season off. And I think that they can catch Notre Dame slipping tonight, to be honest with you, to be very, very honest with you. And that's how I do have it setting up tonight. If you guys follow me on the Twitter, you know that I already put out the plays for tonight. Now, I would say this. I think that they kind of missed on this tournament. I think they brought in teams that were good, but this would have been fun if they would have brought in one of these years. They need to bring in the top 8 teams in the nation just for one tournament. Whoever's in the top 10, top 12, just one year. Can we just get a tournament to start the season off with the best of the best so we can really get an idea of what we're looking at? But I know teams don't want to take that risk with losses and things like that. But sometimes I think now with the way college basketball is going into the next level with the NIL and everything like that, it would be a good idea if you do what the high schools do. And the high schools always have their best of the best tournament, to start every season off. And that gives them a good idea who the best team in the nation truly is. we won't say that, hey, at the end of the day, that the winner of it is going to be the winner of the national championship. What it does, though, it just gives the supposed best teams the best competition to start the year off, so then they can go into their conferences and their non-conference games a bit stronger, because that's all those games do for you, is make you a stronger team down the road. So we'll see if the NCAA gets smart and does something of that nature. When maybe their top 8 teams, top 10, top 12, it doesn't really matter. But do a tournament that you can have the top 10 team, all top 10 teams in, or top 8 teams in, or at least the top 5 in it. You know what I mean? So then we can have, so you can put some extras on that burger. You know what I mean? Some onions and mustard and things like that, instead of just always being the same. But it is what it is. Maui Invitational. I like what I'm seeing here. It's a great tournament. And Battle for Atlantis has started today as well, too. And today, the first preseason NIT game started as well, too. And be on the lookout for that. I'll be having some spots for you guys on Twitter in a bit. I just couldn't get to it. But today, you're in luck. I do have a CBB PrimeTime PK6 for you guys today, so it should be something that sparks your interest. So you guys just be cool. The CBB guru is on the way. We're not going to jump in the pool when the pool is having everybody pissing in the pool already. You know what I mean? We're gonna wait till we clean this thing up a little bit. We get into December, January, and then I'll make sure that you guys are locked in correctly for college basketball. Right now, it's a crapshoot. These teams are still getting to know each other. All right. So let's move forward, and let me go ahead and get into my next topic. And I know boxing is something that's huge in my sports resume and everything like that. A lot of people know that I am a part of the media, working with Ring Magazine, Fanatics View, all that good stuff, and my own outlet as well too. But I haven't been to the last few big fights and everything like that. There's just been some things going on with me personally that I just need to make sure that are taken care of. And just I spent a lot of time on the road this summer as well too. But all in all, you don't want to hear about what I got going on. You want to hear my opinion. So let's talk about who the best boxer in the world is. And I'm going to upset a lot of people when I say this. But you know what? I really don't care, because I've been able to watch these guys for a long time. I've been able to be in more inside information than most. You know what I mean? And I do understand how the game of boxing works in a sense. Okay. Canelo Alvarez is a very unique personality, okay? He brings something to the table, and you guys know that I don't like talking race and things like that, but in boxing, it's kind of like on the forefront, right? Canelo is the biggest boxer in the world simply because he has the resume. He has a lot of things in place. He has fought the best of the best. Blase, blase, blase. Yes, we do know that. He got beat up by the guy that calls himself the best ever. So a lot of people have this idea in their head, since he's still successful after Floyd, that he's the best fighter in the world. But on his ascension and his come up, there was another guy from Omaha named Bud Crawford. Okay. And Bud Crawford was seen as a guy that they gave a chance to because he beat up on Tim Bradley at a camp. And they didn't think much of it. And they just said, okay, get a guy a shot, right? He goes and lights up the lightweight division. Then he becomes one of the greatest champions ever in the junior welterweight division. And then he comes up to 147, and they just literally avoid the guy. Now, this is how I'm going to put it. Canelo is the biggest boxer in the world simply because the fan base that is attracted to him is the Mexican fan base, and they are the biggest base when it comes to watching boxing, okay? And so he is the one that's next up. He is the hero of a country, right? But there's something else that works out for him to where he gets a lot of love from Europe and other places around the world. The guy has red hair and freckles. So seriously, When he starts speaking Spanish, that's the only time you really know that he's Mexican. If you didn't know who Canelo Alvarez was, you would think that he's an Irish kid or something of that nature. All right, so sorry about that, but all in all, though, Bud Crawford to me is the best boxer in the world because he's overlooked. It's that simple. The guy had legendary nights on HBO, and man, I'm telling you right now, a lot of people just don't understand what it takes to still be very good in this division of boxing that's the hotbed of boxing. Canelo was a welterweight years ago and got housed at welterweight. Now, him as a middleweight, that's a different story. You know what I mean? He had some questionable moments when he was a welterweight and things of that nature. And see, it goes back to what I just said, questionable moments. But Bud Crawford has always finished the job. It's the big difference. It doesn't matter who Bud Crawford has fought because if don't nobody want to fight him, he has to fight who's in front of him, right? Everybody want to fight Canelo because Canelo means a payday. Nobody wants to fight Bud Crawford because Bud Crawford means that your career might be going to the left. I don't mean to put somebody on blast, but look at Jose Benavidez Jr. The guy, I know he only has one leg now because with him getting shot and everything, but he looked terrible in his last fight. And literally, he was still a skillful fighter when he fought Bud, but the guy had never been seen since. So this is almost like a courage comeback for him. You know what I mean? But you see how he deflated that situation. Yurkis Gamboa was on a video game. He knocked the guy down 4 times. They had to stop the fight. He's pretty much became a gatekeeper. Now, when he fought these guys, they were saying they had the opportunity to take Bud's O away, and that was never the case. So it comes down to this. The black boxer has kind of been put to the back burner in boxing. I'm just going to be honest with you because we talk race a lot in boxing, don't we? So the black boxer is already seen as probably when you do the athleticism, things of that nature, as the top tier when it comes to being a boxer, right? And I'm not saying this be trying to brag. It's just everybody knows this. You know what I mean? But the way that guys are selling themselves now, they always have to sell themselves as the villain. And Floyd has explained this to you guys before. And if you don't want to play the villain, then ain't nobody trying to mess with you, okay? Ain't nobody trying to do nothing with you. If you're not talking loud and being brash and braggadocious and throwing money in strip clubs, don't nobody want no parts of that. Why? Because they want to see they want to see that guy get beat. When you're exceptional like Bud Crawford and everything like that, they know that these people can't beat you, but they're going to still put it in the back of their head that you're not the top guy just because your resume. Oh, because you're from Omaha. Oh, because this and that and the third. No, be honest with yourself. You know, right now, Floyd Mayweather would never take a fight with a Bud Crawford. And the way that Errol Spence looked running down the street when the camera was on top of him, he looks like he doesn't want any parts of it either. Okay? So when guys don't want parts of you, that makes you the best to me. But when everybody wants to fight you for money, you're just a payday. That's all you are. They're not going out to try to beat you. They just helping out your situation. But Bud Crawford, people go out there to try to beat him, but they fail every single time because the guy knows when to turn it on, and everybody knows exactly what I'm talking about. They said he was down in the fight in the 10th round. What did he do? He went and finished the fight. So that's why I have Bud Crawford as my best boxer pound for pound in the world. This isn't about race. This isn't about any of that. It's about what I see in front of what I see on TV and what I see in front of my face and what I see when I'm at these press conferences, at these pressers, and sometimes having these one-on-one interviews with these guys and talking to them off the record as well too. So, hey, boxing is alive and well, And I look forward to a big 2022 in the boxing game. Much needed for something that a lot of people have been waiting to make a major comeback in. All right. So with that, I'm going to take a quick commercial break. And when I get back, we'll go ahead and we'll jump into what the Lakers did last night. And we'll also talk about tonight's games as well, too. We got 13 games going on in the NBA tonight. So you guys, but we only covering 5 of them. So don't think that I've covered the whole league right now. So you guys stay tuned. This is the Premier Sports Betting Show, the Primetime Angles Live.
Good News Only Racing Club, led by the legendary Doug O'Neill, the trainer of 2 Kentucky Derby winners and I'll Have Another and Nyquist. Also trained 2-time Breeders' Cup champ Golden Sense, who are just a part of a long list of thoroughbred champions trained by Doug O'Neill. The Good News Only Racing Club has a young core of horses to look out for in Dennis's Celery, Irish Heatwave, and Notre Dame, just to name a few. Win the day every day with the Good News Only Racing Club, a proud sponsor of the NFL Bet Exchange.
From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.
Tune into Big Wave Boxing every week with a brand new guest with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the Primetime Capper, getting the best boxing stories, best boxing angles, and the truth when it all comes down to the sweet science. Tune in to Big Wave Boxing on the Prime Wave Media channel on YouTube.
All right, we are back with the Primetime Angles Live. So pretty much last night, the Lakers, you know what? I'm going to be honest with you guys. As I said the other day, I felt the Lakers have finally kind of showed us that they got some chemistry going on. They have each other's back, but everybody just has to be healthy at the end of the day. And I know that there's 2 players that are not healthy right now that can contribute immensely to this team. Now, LeBron being out last night, that was very, very telling, because what happened last night was the Lakers got down 25 points in the first half, but the Lakers were still able to find a way to tie the game up at the end of the third quarter. Seriously. The Lakers went on a nice little run and found themselves down 10 going into the half, okay? And, you're not paying attention and things like that when games get like this, but the Lakers caught the mentality where it's like, just keep chipping, and we should get to where we need to get. And the Knicks had started the game with, say, like 2 turnovers. By the end of the night, they had like 18. So it was very telling that, the Knicks got a little cute, a little cocky, and weren't holding on to the ball too well. Lakers took full advantage of that. The part that killed me the most, though, the Lakers had a very winnable game last night in the last 5 minutes of the game. I think the Knicks probably scored at that point maybe about they did have a nice little run where Quigley did hit 3 threes in a row. But at that point in time, they were only up 3. But once he got them up like that, they didn't do much after that, okay? They scored about 5 points to close out the game in the last 4 minutes or so. The Lakers figured out a way to get within, say, 6 last night? But the problem was, though, is that the Lakers had 10 stops in a row and literally missed the first 7 shots of it. That was terrible, okay? The Lakers, when they get stops like that, they're going to have to start in games like this where they're coming back, they're going to have to stop relying on that 3-point shot. They threw up 5, 6 threes that went nowhere, okay? When you're running like that and you got a team on their heels, you need to jump all over it. Championship teams do that. The Warriors ran into the same situation the other night in Cleveland and wound up still winning the game by almost 15 points. So that's the big difference that's going on right now with, this Western Conference thing. You got the Warriors who had just pretty much turned themselves back into what the Warriors we all know, and that's just by bringing back Iguodala. Now the Lakers, they don't have an Iguodala type, and that's probably the biggest problem with the Lakers is that they don't have that guy who plays great on both ends of the floor and can be a leader. But it's okay because they're only 19 games into the season. We got 82. As I keep trying to profess to the rest of, naysayers and Laker Nation that the Lakers just have to find their groove, which I feel is about to come after they get done with this road trip because they really learned a lot about each other, period, point blank. And they learned that they will fight to win a game. Pistons, they wound up winning. Knicks, they didn't win. But they still showed that they're gonna fight. And when you see a team fighting, you know that they're working at their hardest to get better. And I think that the Lakers, once we get through with this holiday week, they should be good money because now we've entered December and there's really no more excuses now. We're 6 weeks in and we go from there. A lot of people feel like there needs to be a trade right now. A trade is not the answer because all you're doing is trading for another guy who you're going to be unsatisfied with if he doesn't do what you expect him to do. What you do is you keep this team intact until it shows to the point to where you have to make a move. At this point right now, you don't have to make a move because you haven't fully evaluated your roster. Once you get none and a reason in, you'll know exactly who the Lakers are. If they're still playing the same basketball when those two guys get here, yes, go ahead and make a trade. Do whatever you have to do. But making trades and you're trying to chase a championship, they have to be logical. You know what I mean? And this is a bad sentiment for a guy like LeBron James because everywhere he goes, they try to blow things up. You know what I mean? And the only place where they didn't blow things up was in Miami because they had Pat Riley. And Pat Riley wasn't playing that game. All right. So I think the Lakers need to go back and be exactly who they are and do exactly what their former confidant, former Laker, former soldier in battle is doing. And you take back control of your team. That's what you do. And you don't need to make a trade to suffice superstars to make them feel better. You know what I mean? You make your coach more accountable on what he's doing, and you make the players more accountable. And then when you have to make a move, make the move. You don't need to make a move right now just so you can keep fans happy. Laker fans is going to be dissatisfied with winning efforts just like they are with losing efforts because they always want it to be perfect, okay? And you can't be perfect. All right. So it is what it is. That's the state of the Lakers. They're playing against Indiana tonight. It's a tough game because Indiana's playing better basketball at this point. Now, if they played them last month, it would have meant much. The Lakers haven't won in a while in Indiana either. So this is a 50-50 spot. If the Lakers win, great. If they lose, it ain't going to be the end of the world. They are still building something here. And let's come back to this when we're at the halfway point of the season, okay? When we're at 41 games, we'll have another discussion about moving people on and stuff like that. But at this point in time, just take it game by game. All right, we move on, and we have ourselves a really good one with the Cavs and the Suns tonight. But the biggest problem with this game tonight, my favorite new player isn't going to be a part of this game tonight. He's going to be out. Evan Mobley is out for the next 2 to 4 weeks. And well, now it's going to be 1 to 3 weeks because that first week has already passed by. But I think they're going to keep him out the whole 4-week stretch so they don't have to worry about anything. But it is an elbow injury. It's something that, you want this guy to be back in full strength because the biggest part of his game is, altering shots, and he has to have it at full extension for them to really be able to, win games. Seriously, simple as that, to be honest with you. So, I look at this. You got a very good Suns team coming on the road tonight. They haven't lost a game all month. The Cavs don't have two of their better players right now either. They don't have their best player, Mobley, out for, as I just said. And then they did lose Colin Sexton for the season as well, too. And also, you're not getting much out of Kevin Love, who I think will be moving on very soon. But I don't think that Kevin Love gets waived. I think what happens with Kevin Love is that he'll wind up getting traded to somewhere, to a team where the Cavs can go ahead and get some assets back for that situation. So when I say, all in all, though, I really do think that, if the Cavs had Mobley tonight, this would be a better game for him. But minus 350 plus 260, it all makes sense. And then a 7.5 point spread where that makes the Cavs the dog tonight. So disregard that minus. They are a plus 7.5 tonight. And yeah, it's just pretty much that's how it works out. And I think that all in all, though, if the Suns don't cover, they don't win. Okay. Suns got to win by 10 or they lose by 2 or 3. Okay, because you still have Darius Garland there. You still have Jared Allen there as well, too. And then you still got Marcus in there as well, the sharpshooter that free agent from Chicago. So you still have all that working in your favor. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. But I move forward from there. And let's go ahead and get into this Boston and the Nets tonight. Boston and Brooklyn, the start of what's going to be a pretty damn good rivalry, if to be honest with you. I think that these teams are on to something, both of them. I think that a lot of people have to understand that this is a new day in the NBA. And, the Nets are going to be a power player for some time now, and we all have to respect that part about this team, is that they're going to be here, and that's my thing. And what's going on with Boston? The same thing that's going on with the Lakers. They got to figure out how they're going to be able to get this chemistry going, how they're going to be able to really be able to move forward and have some big moments moving forward as a team. But thing is, though, they got to get Jaylen Brown healthy, and the guy hasn't been healthy in some time now. So that's a big blow to whatever this team is trying to do at this point as well, too. So there's just a lot of different factors that play a part in the success of Boston this season. And I think that Boston just has to kind of dial it back, breathe a little bit, and they may be in a position where, they can get back to it, fairly soon. But they just need to kind of just take it. They just need to take a deep breath and not overextend themselves too much. You know what I mean? That's how I'm feeling with this team, is that you just don't do that to yourself. Don't overdo it, And I think they're another team that you have a lot of fans chomping at the bit that want you to blow up the team so they can just bring in new players that you can complain about. But no, you have to try to work this thing out and give yourself at least half a seat, at least 30 games, 35, 40 games before you start moving people. And I think the Celtics are in the same boat as the Lakers. You just have to have patience and see, and they're taking their time. But the Celtics do have the assets in place to make a monster deal as well, too. That's the biggest difference between them and everybody else, okay? Is that they can make a monster deal happen because they have the assets to make that monster deal happen. Do they make it happen? We'll have to see. But all in all, tonight, though, I feel like this is going to be a scoreboard watching game. Nets have done well this month. Boston's been kind of middling, but, they're playing much better basketball at home. And Boston's scoring a lot of points at home right now as well, too. So you like that. I think that it's going to be a perfect storm tonight, and it'll wind up being one of those games where you have to scoreboard watch, because it's a 50-50. You really don't know what side to choose here. But I would say this, though. You just take your time, watch the game tonight, and you either pick the over or the under, but I really think that this game does wind up going over because, hey, you know, there's going to be some scoring going on tonight. And Boston has been doing a lot of scoring, and Brooklyn will always can always put up 120, 130 on the board. They just haven't because they figured out that if you just play some great defense, you don't have to score that many points to win the game. So it is what it is, and we move forward from there. Let's go ahead and move on and talk about our next game that's going to be up. It's going to be the Wolves and the Heat. The Wolves are coming into this game playing really good basketball at this point. They are very tough to they're very tough to deal with. You know what I mean? All in all, the Heat this season, either they're going to be really good or they're going to be really bad. And they haven't been really good on the road this year, but they've been really good at home. The Wolves, on the other hand, have started off pretty whatever, and now they were struggling this month, but they've been really put it together the last few games as well too, and they're averaging a boatload of points as well. So they've been getting over 108 points at least the last 4 games as well too, and have only given up and haven't given up 100 points in this stretch either, winning 4 games in a row. But they did start the month off on a 6-game losing streak before they beat the Lakers and then came back around and lost 2 more in a row. So this is pretty good for a team that started off the season in bad shape. Even though they did start off winning their first 3 out of 5, then you come back around and lose 6 in a row. I mean, it's just, and really 7 out of 8, to be honest with you. So pretty much to start the month off. So, come back around, score, and win 4 games in a row. Wolves are a tough ticket right now, and they're back at home as well too. So that's pretty good. They did win a good game on the road, but they had 3 straight home games where they absolutely dominated, and they won each game by double digits. So that's why you see the Timberwolves getting a lot of love tonight, because they're just a hot team. But when you run into a defensive squad like the Heat tonight, I think that they can go ahead and kind of cool off that flame a little bit. So when I see that this one is 105, 115, this is telling me it's a 50% split on each side. But I like the Heat moving forward in this spot because the Heat are one of the better teams in the East, while Minnesota is one of either a bottom team or a middling team. They don't know what they are yet. But we'll see how it goes. But if Minnesota doesn't improve this season, they do have the assets in place to get good draft picks for down the road. Even though I know they got tons of them, they can start just shipping off everybody now and start saving a few pennies. You know what I mean? If they're not going to move up this year, because you're wasting Cat's time, you're wasting D'Angelo's time, and Edwards is too young at this point, but you could possibly be wasting his time as well too. So you have the pieces in place. Either start winning or let them bees free. You know what I mean? So it is what it is at the end of the day. And that's how I see it. We move on. Let's go ahead and talk about the Hawks and the Spurs. Hawks and the Spurs. This should be a good one tonight. You got Pop's gang going against Nate's boys, and this should be a good one. The young pups of the Hawks that have overachieved and everything like that, and have pretty much got to the spot to where a lot of people thought they would be at. Maybe they would start getting into the playoffs like this year. Nah, they couldn't wait. So they find themselves in position to keep their winning streak going right now as well too. They did some pretty good work this month as well. When they weren't on the road, because on the road this team has been absolutely awful. They haven't won one road game. They've won one road game, but they're still winless against the spread. But they're looking good. This team did lose 6 games in a row, and 4 out of 5 of those games was on the road. So 5 out of 6 actually were on the road. So, and they were against some of the better teams in the Western Conference as well, too, and against Brooklyn. So, they kind of do have an excuse, but really you don't have any excuse. You're supposed to show up every night, right? And they came back around once they got home for a 5-game stretch. They did not lose one game, and they won each and every one of those games by double digits. Now they're back on the road. So can we trust them? Can we do anything with them? I know that they've won 5 games in a row, but this team hasn't covered at all on the road this year, and they've dropped their last 5 in a row, on the road as well too. I think what happens tonight is we have a Spurs team that needs themselves a nice little win this month. They've been kind of going through the motions a little bit, and I think tonight, for a team that's lost their last, 6 out of 7, really the last 6 out of 8, they just bad this month, to be honest with you. They got 2 wins on the month, but they've covered a lot this month. And that's what gives me the confidence that this team can go ahead and get themselves a nice win tonight. And I'm taking them as my dog of the day today, and they are at plus 155. So Spurs, let's see how it goes. Let's see how it shakes out. I know that you're not playing the greatest basketball when it comes to winning the game, but I know that you guys are trying and you're covering. When you're covering, you're still making people money. So I feel like they've been able to cover here in a few games in this losing streak that they've had, and they'll be able to go ahead and right the ship tonight and go ahead and get themselves a nice little victory. And the reason why I'm confident about it tonight is because we've hit the dog of the day all week this week. We Grizzlies plus 390 on Monday, and then last night we got the plus 150 that was bet down from plus 225 on the Mavs beating the Clippers. So you guys, it's not like I be just throw these plays out here just to throw them out here. I'm trying to give you guys some big value in this spot, and I think we get it tonight with the home dog. I love a home dog as well too, and we'll see how it goes with the plus 155. But there it is, Spurs. Let's see how it shakes out. All right, we move on, and we have pretty much the nightcap, but I would call this the game of the night. And I know we don't have Embiid a part of the game and all that good stuff, but the 76ers are a team that I put into the top 3 teams in the East to make the finals. I have it Bucks, Brooklyn, and then the 76ers. Everybody else is the field. Now, if they're able to sneak in and pull a Miami, good for them. But I think these are the 3 teams you have to pay attention to in the Eastern Conference when you talk about who's going to be in the finals. And since the Warriors have reintroduced themselves as the Splash Brothers, whatever you want to call them, the high octane, the running gun with some defense added on to it. They're back. And I feel like, as I said before, they're doing damn near the same thing that the 95-96 Bulls did. They took literally 2 years off, and boom, they won 72 games. And you got Klay Thompson coming back as well, too. So the Warriors are a true threat. Somebody asked me a month ago, are the Warriors back? I said no. And I didn't mean no as if I was hating. I meant no, meaning that it was too early to call because they were beating nobodies. Then they come back around, and now they're beating the somebodies and the elite teams in the NBA, and they're not just beating them, they're whooping them. And I said, okay, well, now we're back to the Warriors being the Warriors. So there it is. So everybody who questioned Steve as a coach, you guys can go ahead and eat that crow now because, he played in the NBA, you didn't, so get over yourself. I know Mark Jackson created the Warriors mentality and who they are, but he didn't finish the job, though. They would have never won a championship with Mark Jackson as the head coach. He would have always fell short. But when you got a guy like Steve Kerr, who won multiple rings with multiple franchises and played for 2 of the greatest coaches to ever coach any game, then you're going to be a little bit more successful, okay? And I think right now we have to really respect Steve Kerr for what he went through the last few seasons to get back to this point. A lot of coaches don't do that, okay? And it's just that simple. All right. So, but when it comes down to the game tonight, I think this is another scoreboard watching game. And I think this falls under tonight because we don't have Embiid here tonight. Tobias Harris is a 50-50. So, I'm just going to go with the scoreboard tonight. I think Tennant has a bit too many points for the Warriors for the Warriors tonight, especially after the other night when the 76ers did get a monster win over the Nuggets as once again a 10.5 point underdog last night, and plus 4-1 as well too. And you're not going to get these numbers on the Sixers for the rest of the year. This is temporary until Embiid comes back, and then they go back to being the favorite. So there it is. There it is. Scoreboard watching with this game. I love the under in this spot as well too. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. 76ers at the Warriors tonight should be a good one. All right. So we move on, and now it's time to go ahead and talk them tickets. And I love to talk those tickets. And what we have here for talking tickets today, I have the CBB PrimeTime PK6 at 61-1. Each game that I gave you guys starts in the same window, so you guys don't have to wait for these games to start back to back and stuff. I'm going to go with Boston U today with the plus 18.5. Then I also like to pick them in the Princeton Monmouth game as well too. And then I love Michigan today against Tarleton State. They should absolutely romp that team today, but you know how it goes. Sometimes teams get a little cute, and then they just want to win the game. They ain't trying to cover the game. But I think that we don't run into that issue here in this spot. And then I have Louisiana Monroe going against Louisiana Tech. This is an in-state game, so pretty much usually these are much closer than they look on paper, and I think that's why I'm jumping all over UL Monroe, because I know that how Louisiana Tech plays against these type of teams, and they actually always kind of have issues at the beginning of the season when they play against teams within the state, especially teams that are in the Sun Belt Conference as well too. All right, and then we have Washington, pretty much de facto college basketball dog of the day. They're playing Nevada tonight. I got them with the plus 145 today. I think that they should be good money. I'm deciding to rock with the Pac-12 over the Mountain West, which is always somewhat of an even matchup in hoops as well too. So, I like Washington tonight. I know Washington will probably go a little bit higher than this because a lot of people don't trust Washington, but it's a new season. It's a new day. And I think that they'll take care of us tonight. And I'm taking them with the plus 145. And then BYU looked absolutely tremendous in their game the other day. And they blew away a ranked squad as well, too. So BYU has to be respected. And that squad was Oregon, who's in Hawaii now. They're kind of going through the motions. They'll be better when we get closer to Pac-12 and everything like that. So there it is with that, 61-1. 19.5 on BYU. We need them to win by 20. So let's see how it goes. Let's see how it shakes out. Then we move on and we have the NBA Super High Five for tonight, 31-1. The NBA will be having everybody, I think, will be off tomorrow in the NBA, but we'll be back Friday. So when I look at this game right here, I got the Suns at 7.5 tonight. I said that they got to win this game by 10 or better. If they don't, they lose, okay? So you heard it here first. So if the Suns don't blow them out, they wind up losing the game tonight. All right, so we have the over 215.5 with the Nets and the Celtics. That one will keep climbing as we go. I know I had it a little bit higher on the screen, but I know that it went down, but I know that the late push is going to make this go back up. I think that it ends up at 217 before it's all said and done at the end of the day. I think that both teams add up to 220 points or better tonight, and that's why I'm taking the over with the Nets and the Celtics tonight as well too. And then you have the Heat money line tonight in a very 50-50 matchup. You can go either way in that game, but I'm going to go with the Heat tonight because I trust them a bit more in this spot. They're the veteran team here. They have the veteran coach here. And you know what? It's just really plays out very well for a team that, is coming off of a pretty, I would say, not easy win, but a pretty formful win against Detroit last night. And I know a lot of people will probably put the late money on the Wolves with the idea that they should clean up because who the Heat played last night. That means absolutely nothing. So I'm taking the Heat with the minus 115, and let's see how it shakes out. And then we're going to go with the Spurs as our dog of the day, plus 145, as I explained before. The Hawks are just not trustworthy on the road, and I just can't take that bet. Okay. So I have to flip it to the other side. They're going to have to earn the right to money when they're on the road with me. Okay. I'm taking the plus 145 with the Spurs. And then we have the under 217.5 with the 76ers and the Warriors today. I think that this should work out pretty good as well, too. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. 31-1 on the super high five and 61-1 on the primetime pick six. So plenty of value here. And just for a heads up as well, too, we did hit the 16-1 pick four last night in the NBA as well, too. So we've already started the week off with a nice little winner at 16-1. Let's see if we can go ahead and double back and get both these bad boys home, and then we can take off the rest of December. All right. So there it is. There it is. I want to thank you guys very much for tuning in today. I know I kept you a while. I thought I was going to be a little quick with the show, but hey, I have on a suit. I do a little bit more talking when I have on a suit. So I thank you guys very much for tuning in. You guys are the absolute best. This is the Premier Sports Betting Show, the Primetime Angles Live, with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the Primetime Capper. And as I always say, if you got a hunch, bet a bunch. Always bet with your head, not with your heart. And the movement is moving. And once again, I'll be back tomorrow. I'll be doing horsing around tomorrow, and I'll be doing talking tickets on IG as well, too. And I just want to go ahead, for people that may not be watching the show tomorrow, I want to just go ahead and wish you a happy Thanksgiving. And you guys make sure you gobble and get you, and say your thanks, man. It's good to be here right now. There's a lot of us that didn't make it this far, okay, after the pandemic happened. So you guys just be cool, be easy, and I'll be back to you tomorrow, all right? And I am gone.
From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.